Hey everyone, Mary here. So, I wanted to do a video this week following up on the one I did specific to references a short while ago. So the other one, as many of you might know if you've seen the video, talked about references and the things that you should consider if you're a job seeker when you're approaching who makes, a good reference for you. So this video is actually on the flip side of that. If you are approached by someone to be their reference, there are certain things that you need to consider before you start answering questions on their behalf with a future employer or someone who they'd like to do some, engagement work with. So I wanted to dedicate this video to some of those things that you should keep in mind. So first off, if you are a reference for someone, you, the referrer, should have a really, strong understanding of the person you're referring. And it's not just what they do in their role, what their skill set is, accomplishments, but also know and understand what their job is, what their character is like, personality, demeanor when it comes to working in teams. You should be able to speak about that person with good, concrete examples. There have been many times where I've talked to people who have been references for others, and they give very lukewarm or very non-descriptive feedback on people. Very average kind of references that don't, really speak to the person's abilities at a high level. It basically confirms that they worked with the person and that they will hopefully not commit a crime or do something really drastic on the job. And, if you're like me, you want to know that the person who's speaking highly on your behalf is going to be somebody who knows what they're talking about and is proud to speak of you and have actual examples to point to. So that said, the second thing that you should keep in mind if you're a referrer would be you should have clear examples that speak to the person's ability in commonly asked areas of their background. So these kind of things would include the following. Okay, so one of the things that a lot of people ask about, potential job seeker is, talk to me about their quality of work, their work ethic. You really want to be able to share an example that's more descriptive than, oh, the person has a good work ethic. Oh, they're fine. You definitely want to have a strong example that speak and praise the person so that, they are confident that they rank, above, just your average worker, that you actually go the extra mile for something. And not just using the language that is exciting to talk about you, but they actually have an example that they can pull from and reference. A lot of referrers I speak with don't have specific references. Again, they're just very generic things that are pretty vague, so I end up asking follow-up questions. And while it can be okay, it's best if you have an example that you can volunteer that will state, how awesome the job seeker is. So a second thing that I like to tell people to consider is a lot of referrers don't have solid experience giving feedback on areas where the person can improve. A lot of times, you think reference, oh my goodness, everything I say has to be perfect and good and high praise for the individual. But to be quite honest, really good references actually know how to give constructive criticism. They can actually provide observation about your work and see where there might be areas where you can improve upon. And it's something that can be articulated with also an example of what you've done and how you're improving it. I know that I speak with a lot of people who have said, oh, I can't think of anything. She does everything right. Or, they really struggle at finding something. They look for a very glaring example of mistakes, which, I mean, sure, that's an example, but I would even say if there's a person who's overall excellent that you want to speak about, and the person on the opposite end of the phone is asking for an area to improve, think about areas where the person may not be as strong as their strengths and what they can do to move it towards, a strength or, a real asset. And when you put it in that context and you think of examples, you'll get something that is more valuable and sincere when you're speaking with, a potential employer for this person. So lastly, what I would recommend, and again, this is about people who approach you and you're not comfortable to give references on their behalf. What do you say? I mean, a lot of people get roped into doing these really average or so-so references for people, and that just ends up hurting everybody involved. So the future employer doesn't know truly what it's like. You're not really providing accurate information, and you have the job seeker thinking that they have you as a great ally who will go to bat and say anything positive for them, and really the truth is not any of that. So if you're ever approached by someone to do a reference and you're not comfortable, well, my recommendation is to actually just tell them you're not comfortable. And you can do this in a very polite and respectful way. I know that over the years, people have asked me to write references, letters of reference, or be a reference on their behalf. And while I did enjoy the person, I didn't necessarily feel comfortable, for whatever reason, be it I didn't feel that their quality of work was at such a high standard, or perhaps I just didn't know them that well that I could speak to any examples of them being a really solid worker. And in those cases, I was just upfront that I wasn't comfortable, and this is why. Certainly you want to be as fair and as respectful as possible. So I would probably say it and approach it more as a matter of fact, and that you haven't had enough opportunities to observe, their work, that you could speak really highly and in detail of just how excellent their work is. So it's better to address that earlier than, give a reference that's really not that enthusiastic, because it shows when you speak. And also that it's not truthful. It doesn't help anybody who's involved. So with that, I would like to ask you guys to comment about thoughts on this video and what I'm saying, if you agree, if you disagree, if you've had a situation where, someone really gave you a great reference, what made it great? Or, areas that you wish a person could have done a better job in, that you learned after the fact. I would love to know those things as well. So feel free to message me. You could also comment below if you'd like. And until our video in the next week, I hope you have an awesome rest of your week and that it's very productive, and we'll talk soon. Thanks, guys.